Welcome into a mailbag edition of the Cleveland Browns Report. I'm answering questions that were asked during our live show, which airs every Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern, so hopefully nothing I say gets too dated. But let's start things off with a question from Levi Mayfield, who says, who's your sleeper to make this roster? It's a good question, Levi, and I almost said my answer. Jalen Darden has been a very popular pick, because he brings you some special teams abilities that if Jakeem Grant doesn't look like he's back to what the Browns signed him to do a year ago, Jalen Darden might be this year's returner, and they might have a role for him on the roster just as a return man. Another sleeper, I don't actually think this really counts as a sleeper, but I'm just going to float out the name Jordan Kunaszyk. He was an under-the-radar guy who got some snaps last year after all three starting linebackers and all four at one point starting linebackers all were on IR. He looked good in special teams, and he was a good linebacker. He's probably I think he's graduated from sleeper, but Jordan Kunaszyk on the defensive side, that's a good name to know. Keep in your back pocket. If you're at a bar and someone wants to talk deep X's and O's Cleveland Browns football, that's an all-time football name. Jordan Kunaszyk. I do not want to be tackled by Kunaszyk. Centrion, what's going on, dude? Would you agree that Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry are the smartest upper management we had in a while? I mean, just textbook-wise, they're both Ivy League guys, right? You got Harvard and Penn right there. So, yeah, I would be inclined. You can toss in Paul DePodesta as well as sort of the Oz, if you will, the guy behind the curtain pulling a lot of strings. Potentially, not quite sure. I'm not in Berea. But I would say, yes, this is the smartest duo we have had in Cleveland in quite some time. And if you're just going by book smart, probably the smartest duo in the NFL, right? You have a Harvard guy. He does all the work essentially on his own. You can have a Harvard guy and a community college guy. The Harvard guy's going to pull his own weight. You add in Penn, yeah, that gets the job done. BB Browns fan, the wide receiver room is beyond full. So do you think that they would look into trading David Bell? It's an interesting thought. I can't disregard it, because when you look at Cleveland's wide receiver room, it is full. Amari Cooper, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Elijah Moore, Marquise Goodwin, Cedric Tillman, those five guys are all making the roster no matter what. And imagine if Michael Woods did not pop his Achilles and make it a little bit easier on the front office to try and weed down this wide receiver room. I think David Bell is going to make this roster for a couple of reasons. But if he has a bad camp and Jalen Darden has a very good camp and Jalen Darden looks like a good return man, maybe if a team has some injuries at the wide receiver spot, they would call about David Bell. But I think Cleveland's going to hold on to him because they're planning ahead a little bit. And they know that there's such uncertainty at the wide receiver spot at the very top after 2023. So this future of the room might be Elijah Moore, Cedric Tillman, and David Bell. And they don't want to quit after just one season. When he didn't look bad, he just didn't do a whole lot. But I don't know how much of that is through his own fault. Now, with that being said, do you guys think the Browns have a top 10 wide receiver room in the NFL? It's probably not top 5 just because Donovan Peoples-Jones or Elijah Moore, I think, will take that next step. But I haven't seen it actually play out with my own two eyes. So I think it's somewhere between 6 and 10 right now. Amari Cooper, DPJ, and Elijah Moore. Those are three very good wide receivers on one roster. You toss in Goodwin and Tillman. I think it's going to end up looking like a top 10 unit when it's all said and done. Lil Beam, next one up. Do you think Dobbs / Thompson-Robinson could get some playing time this season? Maybe in victory formation after the Browns are up by 60? But I sure hope not. If I'm told before the season starts that Joshua Dobbs and Dorian Thompson-Robinson do not take one snap, that's a good thing. I'm gonna go down and say that's probably a good thing. Now, maybe in blowouts, right? But no, I don't think there's a plan to get them some playing time. No, I don't think that's what Cleveland is hoping for this year. Only in garbage time situations are you going to see either of those two guys. I'm assuming the one thing I will add here, Dobbs he's not going anywhere. They gave him $2 million guaranteed. You don't give someone $2 million guaranteed just to cut him a couple months later. But Dorian Thompson-Robinson, he's going to make the 53-man roster, right? Either that or the practice squad. But if he goes to the practice squad, another team would add him. and they're not going to lose their 5th-round pick that quickly. So I guess Cleveland is okay with having 3 quarterbacks on their active 53-man roster. Ty, next one up. Do you think the Browns will sign DeAndre Hopkins? My question now, JK, sorry, bud. I don't. I don't, not saying I wouldn't sign him. I just don't think the Browns are going to end up doing it. I think they like their wide receiver room. They saw a lot of very encouraging things during minicamp. And at the end, I think they're going to stand by the moves they have made already this offseason. If they really wanted DeAndre Hopkins, they would have, A, traded for him. But now that he's a free agent, it costs you less. But if they still wanted DeAndre Hopkins, I think they would have had a visit, right? I don't think they would have left for summer break without seeing Hopkins first. But I'm put me down on the I just don't think it's going to end up happening. Prediction, I wouldn't do it. Now, when it comes to Cleveland Browns news and rumors like DeAndre Hopkins, make us your go-to spot. Subscribe for absolutely nothing. And you get 24/7 Browns news and rumors coverage when you do. We've got 20,117 subscribers by now. We're trying to reach 20,500. Let's get there before the Hall of Fame game. And hey, if you're going to the Hall of Fame game, you can rep this awesome Cleveland Browns polo on sale too. Comes in a variety of colors. You can get the helmet, you can get the elf, whatever your heart desires. But use our link to get that sale, to get 30% off. I mean, it's practically for free at that point. Chatsports.com/Browns Polo. I've got that link in the comments and the description for everyone. So do future you a favor right now. And also, you get to get some mail. Who doesn't love getting mail? I love mail. Fun fact about Matthew Peterson. I pump out about 10 to 12 letters every single week just so other people around the world and the country can get the euphoric high of getting mail. There's nothing better than that thing. I keep the U.S. Postal Service in business. That's what I'm saying. JK Production, I don't even want to say this out loud. I'm not going to. You guys watching at home can read it. I know. No. Next question. Joshua Miller. Will Watson lead the league in completion percentage with these crazy good weapons? That's a good question. I believe Deshaun Watson averaged 70-ish% when he led the NFL in passing back in 2020. Completion percentage is such a bizarre number to try and predict. People usually do yards or touchdowns. I hope so, because last year he completed about 56 or 58% of his passes. It was kind of putrid, to be honest. So I don't know if we're going to jump all the way from 56 to 70. Josh Allen made that kind of jump. So will he lead the league? I don't even know who led the league last year. So pencil me in for top 7. Top 7. Cool guy called Zone. I have seen some whack schedule predictions for the Browns. But do you see the Browns falling behind the Steelers? We're talking about the Week 2 game. I think in my initial prediction, I had the Browns losing. I had the Browns losing in Week 2 without knowing without knowing who they were playing. I thought the Browns would win Week 1 and they'd come crashing down to earth. It's unfortunate that it happens to be a primetime game against Pittsburgh, but I feel like the Browns season is going to start one of two ways. 3-0, and the whole country is getting a big middle finger from everyone that wrote off Deshaun Watson and the Cleveland Browns. Or 1-2, everyone starts laughing at the Browns, and then the offense starts to click. It took a couple of weeks. They're in October. Everyone has settled in nicely. It's a new offense, and then they rattle off 8 straight wins. It's going to go one of those two ways. I refuse to believe it'll start 2-1. So do I see them beating the Steelers or falling behind the Steelers? I think Pittsburgh ends up in last place in the AFC North this year. Rick Ross, why not bring back Deion Jones? Good question, Mr. Ross. Why not bring back Deion Jones? Deion Jones last year was traded from Atlanta, and he stepped into a pretty big role once a lot of linebackers started falling like flies. 44 tackles, 2.5 sacks, 5 tackles for loss. I think the issue with Deion Jones coming back to Cleveland is that when he was traded from ATL, both sides agreed to make this a 1-year contract, to cut up the rest of his contract. So I felt like both sides were saying, we're just doing this to Band-Aid the rest of the season, and neither side envisioned a long-term future at play. But he's still a free agent, and the Browns linebacker room is a big question mark in terms of health and availability, right? When is Walker and Taki going to play? I'm not sure. Jacob Phillips is coming back. They did get some priority-ish UDFA signings. Diabate and Thomas. Jordan Kunashik, I think, is someone to keep an eye on. We will probably get a better sense when training camp starts. And if Walker and Taki start on the PUP list and the Browns are like, we're not going to see him for the first few weeks of the season, maybe then they go out and get a familiar face like Deion Jones. But they will likely wait until August to have a better idea and a better sense of when they're going to get some of those key guys back. But what do you guys think? If you were in Andrew Berry's seat, would you sign Deion Jones? You don't actually have to wait till August now that I think about it, right? Their training camp will open up July 22nd at the Greenbrier Resort in West Virginia. So they'll see how all their players come back with the trainers. They'll go to the trainers and go, how's his knee, how's his pec, how's his quad, whatever. And they'll have a much better idea of a timetable for a return. And maybe then they decide to call and pick up a free agent. Joshua Miller, will Cade York make 80% or more of his field goals? If he doesn't, it's his last year in Cleveland. Like, kickers just don't get that long of a leash, right? Roberto Aguero, the second-round pick out of Florida State to the Bucs. Maybe you can fact-check me, Rolly. He was there, I think, in Tampa Bay for 2 years, and then they moved on from him that quickly. So if it's not 80%, as fun as the Yorker was week 1 against the Carolina Panthers, he's Audi 5000. So will he end up making it? I hope so, because this is Bubba Ventrone's baby, right? This has been his project. 1 year for a second-round pick. That was it. What did he kick that year?
He kicked 71%.
71%.
Field goal, 32 or 34 from extra point.
Okay, so Cade York kicked around like 74, 75%, something like that. So better, but will he make him? I hope so. He's got to figure out how to kick by the lake, though. He was not good at home. Ty, how do you see the Browns' offense changing this year? Do you think Chubb will be seeing less work? So that's a very good question, Ty. I think the Browns' offense is going to have an uptick in passing. You just don't sign a quarterback to a $230 million contract and not have him throw the football 230 million times when he's in Cleveland, right? You are paying him to throw the ball, not to hand it off, and be a team that's top 5 in rushing, which under Kevin Stefanski in terms of carries and attempts, they have been. I don't think Nick Chubb is going to see a major drop-off in workload. Maybe he gets 15 to 20 fewer carries than he did the year prior. I think the difference is if you had Nick Chubb get 70% of carries last year, Kareem Hunt got 15%, and Jerome Ford and other people got the other 5%. Kareem Hunt's percentage is now being merged into Nick Chubb's percentage. And now Chubb is going to get 80% of the carries, and Jerome Ford gets 15%, and someone else gets the other 5%. So I think that's going to be a big change. In terms of personnel, I mean, the Browns love to throw out their heavy bunches, right? Multiple tight ends, multiple backs. They're going to spread it out. They're going to get a lot of 10 personnels out there, 1 running back, or 11 personnel, 1 running back, 1 tight end, 3 wide receivers. They want speed on the field. They're not going to do a bunch of I formations, I don't think. Ty, thank you so much for the question. It is the time that producer Rolly has been waiting for to pick a card. So not close.
So if you've been with us for the past 2 videos, that I've been here, Petey's been here, obviously he's here all the time, but we've seen back-to-back 2s in the last 2 shows, and we kind of vowed on our last episode that we were going to pick another 2 as we came up here, and I hate to do it, but I'm still going to follow that strategy, and okay. I think I'm going the 2 of spades.
I'll ride with you.
Let's do it.
I'll go 2 of diamonds.
2 of spades and 2 of diamonds.
All right, one more cut for good measure.
I will be honest, if one of us gets it, I feel like we have to get 50-50 points.
I think you might freak out.
Oh, no.
Queen of spades.
That's what I picked last time. That's what I picked last time. What a shit show. What a shit show.
Queen of spades, you're off by 1 video. Oh, that's too good. You can't make it up. You can't make it up. Subscribe, like the video, notifications, all those YouTube cliches. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you guys later.